You're listening to I Love It When, and I'm your host, Mo. I'm a speaker, coach, and connector. You're in the right place if you're looking for some inspiration and you're ready to truly embrace who you are. My intention with this podcast is to help you see that you are so much more powerful than you realize. Hello, welcome back to another episode of I Love It When. I'm your host, Mo, and today it's just me. I decided I'm going to record a couple of solo episodes for August, and I'm really excited to talk about the fact that it's been 4 years since I started my business. It's hard to believe. At times it goes really slow, and at other times it's like gone by faster than anything else I can imagine. So for this first episode of the month, I want to share some of the lessons that I've had over the last 4 years, both personally and professionally, in the hopes that it might help you wherever you're at in life, whether you have a business or not. A lot of these things are all intertwined, which is very much reflective of how I coach, because I believe in coaching to the whole person. Because who we are at home is who we are wherever we work. I want to first ask, though, for your help. If you could leave a comment on YouTube or on any of the platforms where I share this podcast, if you could leave me a review on Apple Podcasts, that would be amazing. If you could share one of these episodes to your social media and tag me, that would be amazing. I just want to know who's listening and what sticks out to you from this episode or from any of the other episodes that you may have caught. And also want to ask for your help with my business. The only reason that I'm still here and I'm still doing this work and putting out this podcast, continuing to help coaching clients, working with companies, having retreats and workshops around communication, vulnerability, emotion, all the things that I fully believe in will help develop present and future leaders. It's all because of you. And so if you know someone in your community, your workplace, your personal life that you think would benefit from working with me, either one-on-one as a coaching client and small group coaching, or maybe you know a company that could use a workshop on how to communicate better as a group, or perhaps you know someone who could use an evaluation of their business. I've also gone into businesses and evaluated their systems, their people, interviewed their people, and brought them back a report on how I would suggest moving forward. I love doing workshops. I love doing retreats for companies. If you know someone that you think would benefit from working with me, I would love the connection. This is how I continue. It's all through all of you. So I wanted to put the ask out there because I don't think people realize when you share something of mine on social media or when you connect me with someone, it matters. It fully matters. I don't think people realize how much their actions matter in the world. Every small business owner learns this very quickly, that your actions matter. So I just want you to know that if you're listening, thank you. The fact that you're sitting here or standing or running or whatever you're doing and you're listening to me and you have an interest in what I do and you want to support me by listening, or maybe you don't want to support me, you just met me and you're just like, you found this podcast. For whatever it is, I just want to thank you for being present because without you, I would not be here. And I have never, ever been so happy doing what I do. And so I know that I'm meant to continue to do it. And something I'm going to talk about in a little bit here is one of my lessons is that 90% of the battle is just continuing. I've realized just continuing to push forth, even when you don't know how something's going to happen. All right. So I first started out organizing kind of my thoughts by saying this was going to be like my top 10 lessons from the last 4 years, but it's turned into about 16 different thoughts. So we're just going to go with it and we'll see how we come out. All right. First, I got to make note of the time. Okay, so one of the first things I want to talk about is you never really know what you're capable of until you step out into the unknown. You just have no idea because in the unknown, this is where the magic happens. And the magic happens because This is a space where you don't have every little detail planned out. And this is what I've realized. This is what it means to leave space for the universe, to leave space for the unknown, to leave space for that energy to interact with you. Prior to this, prior to my own having my own company and getting out of the 9 to 5 workplace environment, I didn't have enough space. I didn't leave enough space. And I also didn't have the ability to have enough space to really see the results of this. Because for anybody out there who's working, I would get up 7 a.m. every morning, have breakfast, pretty much get ready for work, head out the door to be there by 8:45, get done at 5, have dinner, work out if I was able to fit it in, and then read and get ready for bed. And then on the weekends were spent recovering from the week. And so there wasn't enough space. That current schedule does not work for us as a society anymore, I don't believe. And so we're not given the space to really feel what's possible when we co-create with that energy. And so having that space now, I've been able to see the ROI of that. And oh my goodness, it's so much more real and so much more magical than I ever thought it was. It's actually there, meaning like when I put out energy, what I get back in return is much more clear to me now because I have the space to let it happen. It's taken a lot of patience, but it's amazing. So, third lesson, my imagination is how my intuition communicates with me, and it's actually real. It all started to flow when I chose to believe myself and what I knew to be true. So, for the longest time, I knew that I felt things, meaning like I would have that in my language. I would often say to people in the past, like, I just feel like this person isn't the right fit for the job, or I just feel like something else is going on here. And I was basically using my clairsentience, my clear feeling. That intuition is definitely one of my primary intuitions. I feel things in my body, I feel things in my stomach. Uh, Sometimes I say I feel this, and it's not even a feeling in my body. It's literally like how I communicate things. So I always knew that that was strong. And I would have these short little, what I would think of as like imagination moments, like where I would see like a scene in my head and I would just play it out. Like, oh, wouldn't it be cool if, uh, Susan Scott came to one of my retreats? And I would just have this visual real quick of her at the retreat. And most of the time I would say to myself, oh, let's not think about that too much because I don't want to disappoint myself. I don't want to have that dream, think about that vision too much, and then not have it happen and be so disappointed. And what I've realized is that that vision is me manifesting that occurrence and stepping into that energy of where it happens. And so it's been so amazing to let myself play with that more and see how it happens, see what comes of it. One example of this that I've given before on the podcast is it's a small example, but this is how you can start to play with this in your life and let yourself run with this. I was leaving to go get a coffee from a coffee stand right up the street from my house that I love. And I have a Honda Fit. It's a 2009 Honda Fit. It's just a tiny little car. I love her. She's been amazing. I've had her for like 13 years now. And we're at a light right before the coffee shop. And in front of me is a Jeep. And the light turns from red to green, and the Jeep falls back probably like 2, 3 feet uh, before they're able to get going and go through the green light. And luckily, I was back far enough that they didn't bump into me, but did scare me for a second. So I was like, "Whoa, what's going on?" And then they started going, and then I noticed that they were going through the coffee line, and they were ahead of me. So in my head, I thought, wow, wouldn't it be amazing if they bought my coffee because they felt bad for slipping back on me at the light? And so I get up to the front of the line and the barista there, she knows me now. And she said, hey, before you order, I just want to let you know your coffee's taken care of. That guy in front of you bought your coffee because he felt bad for slipping back on you at the light back there. And I think my jaw dropped and I had to write it down. I had to tell people about it. I started tracking these things because it was so specific. Not only did he just buy me a coffee, but he specifically bought me a coffee and told the barista it's because I slipped back. My car slipped back on her at the light there, and I felt bad about it. And it's things like that that have happened so often that I can't deny it. I just can't deny it. My imagination is constantly showing me things that are possible and allowing myself to have those visions and play with them and know that not all of them come true, but a lot of them do, small and big things. So that has definitely been one of the most, whoa, thumbs up. One of the, for those of you watching on YouTube, I forget sometimes that when you do a thumbs up with Zoom, not all the time, but yeah, sometimes it'll give you a thumbs up. Hey, I'm popping in for a moment to let you know that if you're interested in working with me one-on-one in a small group, or you'd like to attend one of my upcoming retreats, please reach out or add yourself to my email list. You can go to iloveitwhen.org and scroll to the bottom where you'll see there's a spot to sign up. I also love to speak, teach, and create experiences for small, medium, or large-size companies. If you know someone that I should know, please connect us. I'm looking to utilize I Love It When to create global change, and that will require collaborating with all of you. You're all so much more powerful than you realize. Remind yourself of that today. So lesson number 4. One action step that is done with intention and intuition can equate to 10 steps that you would normally take. And so this goes from something I've talked about before as well to I used to go, and just do all the time. And for those of you who knew me at previous jobs before this, I can accomplish a lot. I can accomplish, you give me a task list and I know what needs to happen, I will get it done. What I've learned now is that you can move a lot farther with your goals when you utilize intention and intuition. You can actually take, for example, 1 step instead of 10. So it's a lot less work. It feels strange because I'm used to going, and just kind of like running my wheels like on a hamster wheel. But when you do it this way, it's a lot less work and more fun. So that's something that came to mind. The 5th lesson is energy can't be destroyed. It can only be moved. And I knew this prior to starting my company, but now I've gotten to experience it. So the reason this came up for me was I've been thinking about in the last couple days, there are so many things that have broken down for me in the last 2 years specifically. My roof got a hole in it about 2022, about 2 years ago. I had to replace that. That was about $11,000. I had my fridge break down, and that was brand new, having moved in and, rehabbed this house. It was a brand new fridge. I've had my car heater give out. I had my bed break recently. Last year, I had my desktop computer finally gave out, and then my laptop gave out this last March. And so all these different things have broken down, and I know that things break eventually, but this has been an abnormal amount of things to have happened in 2 years. And one of the things I've learned about energy is that it can't be destroyed. And so if you think of it like this, when I left my job, when I left Pickett Street, I created all this new space. Like that entire part of my life, my 9 to 5, that's 8 hours a day during the week, plus other hours I was committing to it outside of that, that was all gone. So all of a sudden I had all of this empty space. And when you create empty space, it will be filled with something. And when you're intentional about it, that's when you can start to create a new reality. So I believe in these last 2 years, especially, that things have been breaking down around me to make space for something new. And so keeping this always in mind, that energy can't be destroyed, it can only be changed or moved or transferred, has really helped me when I want to see a change in my life. Because now I think about it like this, like if I'm feeling stagnant in my life or my business, I will literally go and clean out a closet. I will clean out a physical closet because cleaning out my closet could actually make space for something new in my business, right? There's energy everywhere. So keep that in mind. That's been a game changer for me. Lesson number 6, slowing down to listen, moving faster in the direction of peace and fulfillment. So this is a really hard one for many people, and it was hard for me as well. Again, we're in a place in a society where we are go all of the time. And it's really encouraged. It's encouraged to go fast, to fit a lot in, and to accomplish a lot. And one of the things that happens when you slow down, and I think this is why so many people struggle with meditation, things start to come to mind that you don't always want to think about. And one of the reasons I believe that happens is because our soul, our energy is bringing this to the surface for us to look at it, feel the feelings, and release it. Because that energy is not supposed to stay stuck in our body. But it can be really hard, right? When there are some big feelings in there that you have stuffed down or suppressed for a long, long time, it's not fun. And that feeling doesn't last forever. And so slowing down has been something that has, again, helped me to move faster in other areas. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but when you start to do it, it starts to make more sense. As I've slowed down and created more intentional time for meditation, for self-care, for things that are just that help me to feel good, I make better decisions. And those decisions actually bring me to success faster. And success for me means more peace, fulfillment, doing more of what I love, more joy, more playfulness, everything all around that. And what I've learned too is that whatever that thing is that you think of when you slow down, it will continue to be there until you face it head on. All right, number 7. By sitting in my fears around money, facing it, and feeling those feelings, which is something we just talked about, I've been healing myself and my ancestral lineage. I now approach the energy of money from a place of love and neutrality. Man, this is probably one of the biggest lessons that I know I will eventually do a whole episode or episode series on. It's interesting because I don't specifically specialize in coaching people about money. However, it keeps coming up. And I think it keeps coming up because I've spent a lot of time changing my mindset and my energy around money because I wanted to. So I very intentionally have been focusing in on it. I've created affirmations around it. Now, when I log into my bank account, I have a mantra that I say. I've learned about how to budget for myself. I've learned, as much as budgeting has been important, it's actually been more important for me to look at what am I worth? What am I charging in my business? Because a lot of times before this, I just wasn't charging what I was worth. And that's a whole nother area. Like, it's been amazing to have these opportunities come up in the last 4 years where, as an example, there have been times where I have not been able to pay my mortgage on time for my house. And so I've sat here in this actual chair and felt these feelings of panic come up, panic, anxiety, resentment, frustration, confusion. And by sitting in them, doing some deep breathing, blowing, like imagine there's all sorts of meditations you can find about this, but I've done a lot of breath work where I help the energy move through my body and out through my breath. And so doing that in the moment, being able to sit in that fear and then take the next step after that has helped me to now, when I think about money, I don't get this pit in my stomach. It's really amazing. It's super interesting. And so I know that I'm gonna be talking about money a lot more in the future because I always like to remind people it's all made up. All of this is made up, meaning we then get to create and make up how we want to interact with it. We get to choose how we're going to react and respond. So coming to a place of where I see money as more of an energy than something physical, than like a dollar bill or a credit card, has really helped me to balance out my relationship with money. Lesson number 8. Speaking my truth with love and compassion is a filter. Those who stay truly want to support and love me. This, again, has been a game changer for me. For those of you who have heard me talk about some of the energy healings that I've had for myself, I do energy healings myself, and I often do them with other people, like my friend Crystal Novak. But I've also had my own energy healings, and they have completely changed my life. And one of the things that I think I'm here to do in this lifetime is speak. Because for a long time, I just felt like I could not speak my truth without being like fearing people's judgment, fearing people's opinion, fearing that I was going to be hurt for having the opinion that I had. It was an irrational and a rational fear at the same time. And so I've learned, though it's been difficult, how to have truthful, honest, and compassionate conversations with past friends, with current friends. And I've realized that when I speak my truth and I say what I really feel, and I do it in love and compassion, it acts as a filter. So if people don't like what I have to say, then they're not meant for me and they leave my life, which used to be a really hard thing for me to tackle and be okay with. But I've recognized the hard thing that not everybody is meant to be around me for my entire life. If they're not able to or willing to grow with me, then they're not meant to be there. And so that quote, I don't know who says it, but people are in your life for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. Absolutely, absolutely believe that. Very few are for a lifetime, but a reason or a season, I definitely resonate with. And I need people around me who are going to truly support me and love me through this evolution of Margaret, the evolution of my constant growth, because I'm changing and morphing and I deserve that support. And wow, I think that's taken me a long time to be able to say that. I deserve support. I deserve people who love me for who I truly am. I deserve to have people who support my business. Wow. See, this is one of those moments where I can actually feel myself want to cry. And that's when I know I've hit on something. Because I do. I deserve it. I put out a lot of love. I put out a lot of pure intentions, and I really, really do mean what I say. And I think that's something that, as you get to know me, friends or acquaintances or colleagues that I work with, a lot of times when people first meet me, they think that I'm kind of naive or they don't truly believe that I mean what I say, because I think we all run into a lot of people in this world that don't mean what they say, but I truly do. And so when people realize that, I think that's when it starts to click and when they truly start to understand who I am as a person. And it takes time, right? It takes time to trust that people are who they say they are. All right, lesson number 9. I am building a business that is free of fear, and that excites me. My partner Tom said this to me actually a couple months ago, and I was putting something out on social media and talking about an experience with a coaching client recently, and I realized I wanted to do, and I've always wanted to do everything without fear. If I let fear influence my decisions or influence how I am with people or influence anything, then I'm not coming from a place of love. And so when Tom said that, oh my gosh, I see what you're doing. You're building a business that's free of fear. It just resonated with me so completely. It's just completely. And it excited me because fear has a place. Fear has a place of keeping me safe. It has a place of helping to make sure that, I don't do really dangerous things. Uh, However, it doesn't have a place a lot of the time. And so I just recognized how, in different ways, old Margaret was allowing fear to run my life. It was keeping me from relationships. It was keeping me from trying new things. It was keeping me from playing big. It was keeping me from taking up space. And I was sick of it. So I'm building a business that's free of fear. Lesson number 10, I trust myself on a whole different level now. Yes, I just do. And again, it kind of goes back to that space of being in the unknown where the magic happens when you have no choice but to trust whatever little bit of inkling of a feeling that you have. And I started kind of treating it like a science experiment in a lot of ways. If that helps you, I often tell people, like, hey, just play with this idea, which kind of seems to help people relax a bit. So play with this idea that you can kind of put out some energy, like maybe you want to write a book. So write the first chapter, just play with it, see how it feels. And the more I started to do this with myself, with my business, the more I started to trust, right? Like things started to happen. So I recognized, oh, wow, okay, I know what I'm doing. Like I can trust that I am responding from a place of love and I have pure intentions. And when you take action, that becomes magical. So I have such a deep level of trust with myself now. It feels amazing. Lesson number 11. I'm building my business based on energy, and most people won't understand that. And that's okay. That has been something that I've recently struggled with as well. It's really hard for me when I don't feel understood. And it reminds me of a quote. It might have been Jay Shetty who said this, but he said his life changed when he gave up the idea that people need to understand him. And I now understand what he means by that. It's okay if people don't understand me. They can still support me. They don't have to completely understand everything that I do. But my business is built based on energy. It's based on my energy. It's based on the energy of the people that I interact with. Uh, it's very much energy based. And that is very opposite of how we're taught to build business. In Western society, in the US, like here, we are, most of the business world, if not all of it, has been built by men for men. And so once I recognized that, I realized that the way I operate my business and the way I operate my life is going to feel weird and it's going to look weird to myself and everyone around me. And it doesn't mean that I'm doing it wrong. It's just not what we've been taught is the right way to do it. And once I came to that understanding, it gave me more peace and I've been able to move forward and find the people that I do resonate with and the people who resonate with me. All right, lesson number 12. I'm letting go of what other people think. This is a big one again. I feel like these are all big in their own way. I care a lot about people. I care so much about people. And previous Margaret cared too much because I definitely love peace and I love people to experience peace. And so I thought previously that if I could find a way to kind of take care of everybody, I could create more peace for myself and more peace for other people. But I had to let that go. I had to realize I am not in control of other people. And I never wanted to control other people either. I want them to be free. I want them to have their own experiences, and I can't control how they think. And so if something I do in my business or in my life doesn't make sense to someone else or they think a certain way about it, I just have to let it go and let it be their thoughts, let it be their perspective through their lens. So that's been a really, really big lesson for me and a really, really important one. Lesson number 13. Much, if not all, oh wait, I already said this one. Much, if not all, of the business world has been built by men for men. I said that with the last one I talked about, but it felt like a really important one to put down there. Number 14, 90% of the battle is just continuing. So there are so many different times in the last 4 years where I've thought to myself, maybe I should just stop. Maybe I'm not meant to be doing this. I feel like it's supposed to be easier than this. Maybe I should just go get a job. And every time I think about going to get a job or working for someone else, again, it'd have to be someone very specific. But even then, my whole body has this reaction of just no, no. And so I've recognized that, again, stepping into the unknown, I oftentimes have had to be in this unknown space of not knowing when I'm going to see my next paycheck, not knowing when I'm going to get my next gig, not knowing where my next coaching client's coming from. I've often had to sit in that space and let the miracle happen, let it all play out. And that's a big part of the battle is just recognizing and really believing in what you're doing and continuing to move forward. Lesson number 15. I was completely out of balance prior to starting my company. I was in go, go, go mode and do, do, do mode and give, give, give mode. I was exhausting myself, feeling resentful, and not living my life. I have been forced to slow down and learn how to receive. I was sending out that signal to the universe that I matter least. And so, recognizing again how I said earlier that I base my whole business on energy, part of these last 4 years has been me taking the time to balance myself out. And that has been one of, besides the money focus and relearning and programming myself around money, resetting my energy has probably been the second most important thing that I've done. And if any of you, if this sounds familiar to you, or if this doesn't sound familiar at all, I would really encourage you to look into the whole idea of masculine and feminine energy. We all have masculine and feminine energy, and masculine energy is more about going, 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 taking action and doing. Feminine energy is more about being in receiving mode. It's a softer, different energy. And so I really had to work on slowing down. I had to work on tuning into myself. I had to change my schedule. So my schedule now, I was thinking about it, it would probably freak a lot of people out in many ways. I specifically schedule myself thanks to David Breckheimer. Shout out to David Breckheimer, who's also a coach in the real estate world that I used to be in. He taught me this. He said, when you build out your coaching schedule, build it out for the calendar that you want. And so I built out that I meet with coaching clients primarily on the first and third weeks of the month. So in the second and fourth weeks, those weeks are more open for me to do workshops or work on other projects like the podcast, things like that. And that has been a game changer. So previously, like I mentioned, I probably worked anywhere between 40 to 60 hours a week when I had a 9 to 5 job. Now I probably work 20 hours a week, if that sometimes. And part of this too is me wanting to make sure that I don't burn out too fast. So, really wanting to give myself the time to recover from burnout because I was so burnt to a crisp before. So, I've wanted to make sure that I didn't jump too hard into my business. And also, I recognized that, again, going back to the hamster wheel, I don't want to just do things because other people say I should be doing them. I don't want to just go make a reel every day on Instagram just because someone on there says I should in order to make my marketing work. Like, I wanted to really tap into my own heart, my own soul, my own intuition, and follow those steps for once in my life. And so it really has taken me, it probably took me, I don't know, I feel like I'm still recovering from burnout in a lot of ways. It's probably taken me 3 to 4 years to fully recover from being burnt out in my 30s. And now I have set a really good schedule for myself. And so now moving forward, as I get new clients and I move into new types of work and new opportunities, I know what it feels like to have balance and to have this equilibrium. And I'm going to keep it. I'm going to fight for it because this is a much different Margaret. This Margaret is so much happier, so much more at peace. I'm able to regulate my emotions well. I can respond well to people. I can really do my job and do what I love to do. I don't even consider it my job. Like I can do what I love to do at a really high level because of this. So that has been a huge lesson for me to balance out my energy within myself and within my business. All right, lesson number 16, the universe has my back. And I will only truly see it and feel it when I let go and surrender and give it the space it needs to show up. So I mentioned this at the beginning that I truly didn't realize this until I allowed that space to happen. And this can be one of the most difficult lessons to learn because, again, we're taught to just go, go, go. So when we sit for a little bit in silence, or let's say, like, I don't know, imagine you put out a request at the beginning of the week and you don't hear anything back until Friday at 4:45 p.m., like right before your workday is about to end. Sitting in that in between space and feeling calm and feeling neutral, that has been my goal. That's surrender to me. I put out the request. I know it's going to be received. I know something's going to come back to me. I surrender to that and I trust in it. That has been what I've developed over the last 4 years. And there are still times when I doubt. There are still times when I absolutely need support. And I ask for signs from my spirit guides. I ask for signs from my angels that I work with. I ask for signs all the time because this is how I've built up that trust. I have a record on my phone of all the different miracles and things that have happened for me over the last 4 years, all the different synchronicities, because I can look back at that and say, oh, yeah, remember that time I wasn't sure how I was going to pay my mortgage? This is how it happened. So when that happens enough times, right, like your logical brain starts to quiet down and you can really build that trust within yourself and with the universe, with energy. It's a game changer. All right. I feel like I sped my way through that, but I hope that was helpful. I hope that was inspiring for you guys, taking this time to reflect and really think back and all the different things that I've learned. It really helps me to see just how important the work is that I'm doing. Everything that I do for myself, I do it not only for me, but for the people that I'm going to be working with, because we can only take people as far as we've gone ourselves. And so the more resources I lean into, the more I learn about energy, the more I learn about business, the more I learn about how to find that peace and fulfillment, the better job I can do for my clients. So I love, love, love what I do. Thank you for being on the journey with me. This has completely changed my life, utterly and completely. And if there's some way that I can be of service to you or that we can collaborate, please reach out to me. I would love to talk to you. And thank you for listening.